Welcome to Complinet Global Newscasts. News featured is taken from Complinet Complete, our news, analysis and tracking service, and your comprehensive view of the regulatory landscape. Bankers should be granted access to limited classified information so that they know what law enforcers are looking for in terms of terrorist financing and can find and report the suspicious activity the US government needs to know about. This view, which has been voiced regularly in AML circles for years, was delivered to a House subcommittee during a hearing and was just one of several pieces of advice shared by private sector counter-terrorist financing experts. Stephen Landman, a representative of the Investigative Project on Terrorism, a non-profit research group, told the House of Financial Services Committee's subcommittee on Oversight and Investigations, "Although the idea has been proposed in the past, I would urge the committee to consider working to increase information sharing with banks by granting bankers access to classified records. The inherent risks in such a proposal are obvious, but through careful monitoring, I believe such a move would increase the effectiveness of terror finance investigations." The recent high-profile financial industry regulatory authority enforcement action in the case of Trillium Brokerage Services LLC has been variously categorised by the regulators and the press as an example of abusive high-frequency trading, quote stuffing, spoofing and layering, thus exposing the general lack of clarity surrounding such high-tech market processes. We spoke to Complinet's Helen Parry about this case.
High-frequency trading is a highly controversial subject. Many people have suggested that in fact high-frequency trading was partly responsible, at least, for the flash crash, as it is known, of May the 6th, when the Dow Jones Index suddenly, in about 5 minutes, dropped almost 1,000 points and then came back up again. The regulators clearly are looking at this whole subject of high-frequency trading and the various types of manipulative practices that have been associated with it, such as the use of flash orders, such as spoofing and layering, and such as quote stuffing.
Stuart Levy, the US Treasury Department's Undersecretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence, said this week the newest array of sanctions against Iran was specifically designed to make international companies sever all contact with Iran's economy by massively increasing the risks associated with selectively maintaining certain relationships. Speaking at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington, D.C., Levy said,
"Today, Iran is effectively unable to access financial services from reputable banks and is increasingly unable to conduct major transactions in dollars or in euros."
According to Levy, UN Security Council Resolution 1929 and the US's own Comprehensive Iran Sanctions Accountability and Divestment Act were designed to be surgical, defined as conduct-based financial measures that target specific entities involved in illicit activities. He stressed that such targeted approaches fostered more cooperation among governments and businesses than blanket trade embargoes that target an entire economy. "When we target specific bad actors, those that support terrorism and facilitate weapons of mass destruction proliferation, for example, other governments are more inclined to take complementary action." And finally, a proposal by the Hong Kong Securities and Futures Commission to ban a former equity salesman at JP Morgan from the industry for life has been struck down by the Securities and Futures Appeals Tribunal, which said the proposed disciplinary action was too severe. The SFAT, which reduced the proposed life ban to a 10-year ban from the industry, said the facts of the case implied that a prohibition for life would be manifestly excessive. As a result of the SFT's decision, David Sien Pak Cheong, a former equity salesman at JP Morgan Securities Asia Pacific, was banned from the industry for 10 years. The tribunal agreed with the underlying reasons for imposing a ban on Sien, but said a range of mitigating factors provided sufficient reason for reducing the proposed ban. To read about these or any other stories from Complinet in more depth, please log into complinet.com or contact us if you would like a free trial. Join us next week for another newscast from the Complinet Global News team.